Alrighty, gang, listen to me. Do not make Wallace in The Sims, because he is cursed. Alrighty everybody, welcome back. I am Simming in Oz, and today we are making 62 West Wallaby Lane and the home of Wallace and Gromit. Their new movie came out recently and I adore this series. That whole brand, it's so quaint and it's so cute, and I'm just a lover of anything that's artistic, in depth, and takes a lot of effort but has such lovely results. So anything Wallace and Gromit, I'm all over. I love claymation and it's just so quaint and English, and I thought, okay, yeah, no, he has to be in my save. So I was in the mood for some Wallace and Gromit. I was originally going to put him next door neighbor as the Blacks, but then I saw his absolutely beautiful house and I couldn't not recreate it in my own way. Like, I don't go like really in depth about how I recreated it. I tried my best to get a likeness, and then I took it a smidge further and put my own spin on it. I cluttered, I added some things that I thought were relevant to the movies and the shorts and everything, and just had a little bit of fun with it. So this is it. What we're doing is we're starting out with the basic shell. I at least wanted to get that faithful to the show. Now, if you've ever seen the house in the show, it's like the TARDIS, or, you know, like Hogwarts actually, between the first movie and the later movies. It changes, so it was all a bit different, and depending on what you're actually watching, it will look different. So I looked online for any kind of floor plan layout that I could find of this place, and there's not really anything official. Like, it's all very fluid. So I sort of had to go and I took screenshots. I had to go do my homework for this one, and I took screenshots and I basically just tried to recreate it as much as I could, and I took the best of both worlds and tried my best. It's this lovely wooden, brick structure with these beautiful wooden trims. Typically the trims are cream and green, I think, but, you know, The Sims only has limited options. I did go base game windows with this one, which I don't usually do, but they were kind of calling to me. And then okay, I've got a bone to pick. I do not like the bricks we get within The Sims 4. I've never loved any of them. Like, sometimes the crumpled rustic brick is quite nice, but there's not any brick that I go, oh yeah, that's a beautiful classy brick that, you know, you'd see on old manor houses back in the day and everything. It's also neat and tidy, and even the ones that are meant to look rustic, there's something about the tone of them, especially the red colored bricks. I would give anything for a really nice red brick within The Sims, but I had to just sort of try my best here and do what I could. But I think it turned out okay. Now, typically this house is very English, so it's all about the closing off of spaces. So the yard is very small, there's no backyard, it's very closed off. If you enter the house, typically these days you have a lot of open floor living plans and everything. Not so with Wallace and Gromit. It's very closed off, so where you typically see, say, the living room and the dining room and maybe the kitchen being all open floor plan, with these kinds of things, it's doors and full walls and contained rooms, and every room is a little bit different. You've got lots of floral wallpapers, you've got wooden floorboards, you've got just, it really depends what kind of English you're going for. Are you going for the fancy English, or are you going for working class English? Because there is a difference, and this is a little bit more working class. Like, it does look fancy because it's The Sims and it can't not, but you sort of have to put effort into making something, I don't know, aged, I suppose, in The Sims, and that's kind of hard to do with a brick facade. But I really like how this house turned out. Towards the end, I was looking at it going, oh yes, it's exactly like the show, and I really like it. I did make Wallace and Gromit in Cass, and as you can see from the start of this video, they are so cursed looking. Like, I probably didn't even want to post like the making of them. I recorded it, but then I was like, I can't put this out into the universe. It's too bad. It's just, it's like making The Simpsons within The Sims, or, you know, someone who has animated features. It'd be like making Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, Futurama, anything like that, where they have those really exaggerated features of the early 2000s, and like Family Guy and everything. And you'd think you could do it, and then you go and try, and as soon as you have to sort of exaggerate nose, a jawline, Wallace has like no hair on his body, and if that translates to a person, he's basically an English weird bald guy with with bad teeth and no body hair. Like, he's got no eyebrows, no hair on his head, and what he wears is actually quite weird. It's like a, you know, white shirt, red tie, green cable knit vest, which is so gorgeous, and some slacks, and it's like it doesn't translate. Even Gromit in his beautiful glory is just, you know, a doggy, but he's very exaggerated. So you do sort of have to take some time with animated characters and go, okay, do I want to try and recreate the animated character, or do I base them in reality and try and go what they would translate to if they were an actual person? So there is a distinct difference. With Wallace and Gromit, that I made them in Cass, tried to blend, but I think I might go back and try and lean them more towards a bit more of a realistic look, because if you see Wallace walking down the street in this neighborhood of Henford-on-Bagley, it's like, who the hell is that? Oh my god. So with Wallace's house, it's a smidge bigger than I thought. Like, originally the lot size was a bit of a challenge, because I'm like, how am I going to fit everything? And then I realized I had plenty of space, and it just sort of all had to be like leveled out. And when there's like rooms within his house that have to exist but don't exist within the show, at least I don't think you see them. Say, for example, a downstairs bathroom. I don't think I've ever seen it. A laundry, and, you know, typically he'd get down to the basement by going under the stairs, but that's not really a thing here, because I don't know how to do that within The Sims. So I had to put the basement entry elsewhere, and his kitchen is very distinctive, and bright. So you sort of had to make some compromises along the way, but I thought the space all turned out so quaint, and I love it to bits. I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm honestly sort of mentally gearing up for the day where I don't have to do classic English houses anymore. Like, I'm doing a lot of vintage stuff, and I don't think I've done anything modern on the channel thus far, and there's a reason for that. I'm bad at it. I'm really bad at it. You ask me to do a modern build and I'm gonna struggle, but you'll see that in the future, so good luck to you. One thing I watched recently, I watched a playthrough of the Wallace and Gromit Telltale games. I don't know if any of you know that actually exists, but it's the sweetest thing I've ever seen, and it looks so frustrating. You basically have to play as Wallace and Gromit through, like, I think there's like 4 episodes, I think, of, like, you know, their adventures and everything, and something happens different in each episode, and it's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I watched it through RT Game and I loved it so much, and I've just recently really rediscovered my love of Wallace and Gromit. It's very English, and I just love the stylized content. Like, it leans right into how English it is, and I think it's the nicest thing ever. I like cohesion in my things that I watch, like, it's very on brand. and I just love it so much, and I thought it's really fun. With their house, it's so... it's so fun. Like, I can picture it within my mind's eye. I could sort of picture a layout, and you sort of just get peeks of it all throughout the show and everything. And I love that I knew that if I had to do the dining table, I'd have to put down, obviously there had to be cheese at the dining table, bread, crackers, because in the show that's what he eats and drinks and everything, and some tea, some hot chocolate. And he would sit at the dining room table. I know exactly where he'd sit, and he'd read his letters and his newspapers, and it's also kinds of fun. Now, Wallace and Gromit's house is a bit unique in that Wallace is himself. It's sort of a tempting entrepreneur, and definitely an inventor. So I had to go through at the very end, and I sort of had to introduce a lot of mechanical aspects to the house. So say, for example, it's iconic, but Wallace, how he gets up in the morning is his bed elevates with him in it, and there's a hole in the floor, and he goes through the hole and he falls through the floor, and he lands in his dining room, in his seat all ready to go, and a machine dresses him for him, and Wallace has to sort of run the machines to make him make breakfast. And it's the coolest thing ever, and I really wanted to find a way to incorporate that. So I did actually end up doing mechanical things around the house. I got out a Batu pack and did some robots and everything, and then I found the mechanical robotics thing really helpful in terms of a gardener bot, a cleaner bot, a party bot, just all those things that you can make within the robotics career. And there's also an actual robot downstairs which is in the works, which Wallace can be in the middle of tinkering with. Obviously all of his inventions are doomed to fail in a way, and that's the charm of him, in that he has monetary intentions, but also good intentions. Wallace never means any harm, but he's so naive and everything, the poor little dear, and inevitably his inventions will be either turned against him, like with the pants and everything. They'll do something bad, or they'll just malfunction and things will go wrong, and Wallace will be like, oh dearie me. And then he'll just immediately lean on Gromit, to fix the situation. And Gromit, just being a silent character, he's so expressive anyway, and he'll just roll his eyes and do the silent but helpful thing, and you sort of just, it's such a good dynamic, and they have such great chemistry. I didn't intend to spend this whole video just gushing about how much I love Wallace and Gromit, but here we are. So yeah, I really wanted to incorporate that aspect of their lives into the house. I wanted the house to live and breathe their inventions. I was so close to just building a third story and having it being I think at one point there's a windmill on top of their house, but I didn't do it. I might do it, I don't know. I haven't seen that episode in a while, so I have to go back and see what happened. But I did put bunnies in the basement, and that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But the basement is absolutely full of live bunnies that you got from the Henford on Bagley pack, Cottage Living. And that's a fun thing. And then you've got robots throughout the house. You've got bees in the front yard, because in the Telltale game there are bees and everything in one of the episodes. And obviously I really wanted to recreate the pants that he makes, but I did not know how to do that, so I sort of just had to run with it. Speaking of running with it, this lounge room, it is the most frustrating lounge room I've ever made thus far within The Sims in this save, because this lounge room cannot decide what it wants to be. So every time you see it, it's got a different layout, but the furniture's the same. So you've got the 2 armchairs, you've got the TV, you've got the lamp, you've got the rug, you've got the long red couch, and then you might have a cupboard or something like that, and then it all just spins. And it really depends where the fireplace is, where the armchairs are located, what shot they actually went for, because every time I see this lounge room it moves, and so finding a layout where everything actually fit cohesively was a bit of a challenge. So I don't know if I succeeded in terms of the red couch. It is really just crammed in there, but it's definitely a 3-person couch, and I didn't want to make it a 2-person couch, so I just had to sort of squeeze it in, see how I went. And then I also put down some knitting for Gromit because of course he loves to knit, and Wallace is big on the reading, and they have tea and they have hot chocolate, and I think it's all so cute. This was probably the area that I had sort of the most thinking to do in terms of the layout of the house. As I said, there's no official floor plan for Wallace and Gromit's house, so I really just had to wing it. I knew I wanted it to be 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom upstairs, and I sort of had to think it through because I know for a fact the bathroom moves. The bathroom is meant to be above the garage, and then Wallace's room does not have that curve thing at the very front, but it had to be above the dining room as well, because obviously he has to go from bed back down to the dining room and just be there, so he had to obviously be above the dining room, so his room really doesn't make sense. I was racking my brains going, okay, so if his house is in this direction, and his bed and room is in this direction, and the windows are located in this way, and then he goes from bed to dining, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It's a lot of animation and cartoon logic. So Wallace ended up in the corner bedroom, and his bedroom is a lot bigger than you will see in canon. And the beds are narrower than you'll see in canon. In canon, it's like they're very wide, and in The Sims, their beds are very narrow, or at least they look narrow within this home. So I really did try and recreate it. Obviously, I gave him, he's got the bedside table, the chair, and the dresser, and the rug, and everything. And I do put the trapdoor at the end of his bed. And I also made sure to put some cheese at the end of his bed, because he loves his Wensleydale cheese. And I was like, where do I find cheese? So I had to really go through the objects and go, all right, what has cheese on it? And just went with that. So I thought it worked out really well, and I was really excited about it. And you know what? Wallace should be in the master bedroom. It's at least the biggest bedroom, so it makes sense that he'd be in there. And then we come to the bedroom across from his, which is their spare bedroom. And that went to the Penguin when the Penguin moved in. I think they let out one of their rooms and the Penguin rented it, and then the Penguin got up to nefarious things. So the Penguin's room is all dusty. It's only got like a bed and a chair and maybe a dresser in it, but it's got cobwebs. There's a reason the Penguin really didn't want to live in there. And then the bathroom I had to move. Typically the bathroom was above the garage, but it made more sense space-wise to have the bathroom on the other side. And then Gromit's room, which you only see I think a few times, that's next to Wallace's room. It's a little bit smaller, but it's very quaint and everything. And I got a bit sad honestly while I was making it, because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so cute for Gromit. And then I remembered Gromit's an actual dog and he can't sleep in his bed or anything like that, or interact with anything like he's supposed to within the show. So in reality, I've just made a really nice 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house where one man lives with his dog. Oh god. And it's really sad because like Gromit's just not the character he's going to be in the show, and that's a bit, I'm like, oh no. But no, I wanted to make the room anyway. If anyone wanted to download the house, it would so be the easy kids bedroom, because Gromit has a lot of, you know, kid things to him. His room is very blue and bright and everything, and he's got actually pink furniture. He has a pink bed and a pink side table and everything, and he's got blue everywhere, and I thought it was really sweet that they did that. And then obviously, you know, he's got, you know, his dog things, and he's got records and everything, and I thought it was really cute. I don't know if Gromit in the show actually eats from a dog bowl. I don't think I've ever seen him do so, and it felt a bit insulting to put down a dog bowl, but then again, my Sims dog was going to starve if I didn't, so I just sort of had to come to terms with that. Mm-hmm. Now with the basement, it's another thing that also changes a lot within the show. Like, it's got a basic theme going to it. It's double story, I'm pretty sure, because that room in canon is tall. And so what I did was I made it double story. You basically have a landing and you can go down into the main part. And I wanted it just to be a sort of mixture. I wanted it to be an inventor's basement, and just to have a little hint of, you know, all the fun things that, you know, Wallace has obviously been getting up to. So you go down into it, and I really wanted it to have a boiler, because in one of the shorts there is a boiler down there and that heats their whole house and everything, and it was like a furnace with coal and everything, and poor Gromit was like shoveling coal and everything, and I thought it was so I put down a fireplace in place of a furnace for them, but I also filled it with a lot of science equipment, obviously a lot of emphasis on robotics. It's got like live rabbits, and some of them are locked away in a little enclosure. It's not humane, I'm sorry, but Wallace is naive to the point of being a bit destructive like that. So yeah, that's just me putting down all my bots and everything, and I just start putting down robots within the house. And I did toy for a second that he was going to have a flag out front, because he's very English and, you know, loyal and everything to the Commonwealth, but I just decided no, too far. It's not in canon. So this is me putting down the boiler, and we just basically went full science with it, and I can't believe the live rabbits actually worked. I went into show hidden objects menu, and I basically just put down a bunch of live rabbits, and it actually worked. I don't know what's going to happen to these rabbits though, because they don't have anything to eat down there. They're obviously not Wallace's rabbits in the context of the game, so it's not going to give him notifications about, you know, other rabbits going to starve or anything, but he can befriend them, he can name them, I believe he can dress them up. They're basically just wild rabbits you'd see in the world of The Sims, but they just happen to live in his basement, and I think that's a little bit cool. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. And I also put a truck in his driveway, just because every time Wallace is onto an enterprise that extends outside of his house, or not a truck, a van with, you know, a lot of stuff to it, I wanted to give him, you know, he's always got, I don't know what bank is giving him bank loans, but they need to stop immediately, because he keeps buying all this stuff to enterprise his schemes, and it's not good. Someone needs to stop that man. But no, we come to the end of it now, but I really like how it turned out. It's so cute. I'm not too torn up that I didn't get to do like multiple townhouses. I'm happy for Wallace just to have this whole block of land to himself, and his inventions and his rabbits and everything. God bless Gromit, he's doing his best. But thank you so much for watching. You can like and subscribe if you care to, but otherwise, thank you so much for coming along. I really enjoyed it, and I like having you all here. But thank you so much. Bye bye.